Hey there, crafters and stashers and YouTubers. Welcome to episode 106 of the CraftStash podcast, a bite-sized episode. I'm your host, Kim. Hey friends in fiber and crafty adventures, how are you guys doing? So tonight's episode is going to be a quickie. Trying new formats, trying new things. I'm trying to look at this whole blip.tv iTunes shenanigan disturbance as an opportunity to refresh the podcast, do some rebranding, move into new social media spaces, and just look at the show with a fresh new lens. So one of those ideas is to do weekly shorter episodes. Normally my episodes are around half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on the topics. So these episodes I'm going to aim to go no more than 10 to 15 minutes and be really kind of concentrated and targeted. So I'll shut up now and stop explaining myself and start talking about crafty things. So it's Wednesday night, and I wanted to share a recent FO with you, a finished object. Something that I've been working on for a little while, a couple weeks now. It's a cowl, and I made it as part of the Cowl knit along that's being hosted in my podcast group on Ravelry.com. Sorry, I'm going to explain things a little bit more than I normally do in my other podcasts just because I'm posting this on YouTube. And I'm assuming the audience there is a little bit newer to me. So yes, I have a Ravelry.com group for the podcast. It's called the CraftStash podcast, and I have quarterly knit-alongs, group-alongs, where everyone makes something according to a theme. So I try to do them every quarter. So the along for this quarter is the Gracious Gal, or Gracious Gift Along. So the idea is that we're all making things from patterns that people have gifted to us, or patterns that we have gifted to other people that we really, really like. So my contribution for the Gracious Gal was the Made in Love Cowl, which is this awesome pattern. It's by a fellow podcaster, Megan Williams, of the Stockinette Zombies. It's a really nice pattern that Megan actually designed for her sister, who is unfortunately passed away. And it's named after her sister's favorite musical, which is Rent. I ended up making the cowl version. The pattern is a paid pattern, and it comes with a hat and cowl. So I made the cowl, and this is actually going to go to my little sister, who is a huge fan of Rent, and who also likes hearts and purple and black and pink. So this is going to be a perfect little gift for her. When I made this, I was just intending it to give to her just as a hello, how are you, love you very much kind of gift. But then this Thursday, which is tomorrow, I'm accompanying her on a big milestone. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this with you. She has decided to, quote-unquote, go natural. She's doing this whole thing like I did, which is to stop putting chemical relaxers and straighteners in my hair, and now she's kind of finally taking the plunge. So I'm going with her to be her support system as she gets all her hair cut off. Should be really, really fun and interesting. So hopefully, if everything goes well tomorrow night, I can present her with this, and it'll be part of her new look. So yay for finished objects. The quick facts and rundown for this is that the yarn is some yarn that I got from the Zombie Knitpocalypse knitting retreat that I took last year. It's a retreat that's hosted by the Stockinette Zombies, so it's also doubly appropriate since Megan designed this pattern. The yarn company is called 716 Knits. The yarn base that was used for this pattern is 716 Boss, which is 100% superwash merino. It's about a DK weight. So the ball of yarn was around 225 yards. Here's the ball band. And the color is called Roller Derby. It's a fun striping, self-striping technically, but not like repeating stripes, of the black, purple, cranberry, hot pink, and gray, which I absolutely love. So I'm very glad it turned out so nicely. I did this, I think, on size 6 circular needles, and it's a very nice loose cowl. Can't knot it around twice, but that's okay. It's just supposed to hang around your neck. So I'm really happy with it, and I wanted to show it to you guys before I ended up giving it to her tomorrow. So yay for finished objects. Not very many lessons learned on this project. It was pretty smooth sailing. If you guys have watched my show before, you know that I'm mostly motivated by color more than anything. Patterns are great, but I usually go for really, really simple patterns. So this wasn't hard, but it was definitely a challenge for my attention span, given that I kind of just like to pick up and go and let the color be my guide in a pattern. But it was totally easy, very, very intuitive and understandable. So yay, finished object. So that's it for what I'm crafting. I have a little bit of what I'm stashing to share with you guys as well. Alright, so for stash I've got two things. One of them is a ball of yarn, or a hank of yarn in this case. It's a lovely, lovely yarn from my fellow podcaster. It's like all about podcasters tonight. Voolenvine, Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast. She'd been selling stitch markers on Etsy for a little while, and this is one of the examples of her kind of quirky, cute, scary stitch markers that features a skull and dragonfly wings. She started a yarn company called Voolenvine Yarns, and this is kind of what her stuff looks like. Her colors are usually a little bit darker and more muted, a little bit like romantic goth, if you want to think about it that way. But as soon as I saw this colorway, which is really fun, bright purples and greens and sparkly, I kind of had to snap it up. So this is called Fairy is the colorway, and it's on her blitzed base. Blitzed is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. It's about 438 yards, and it's a sock yarn. This is probably going to be variegated, not self-striping. I can't be for sure, but most people these days, when they sell you self-striping yarn, they tell you about it because it's a big deal apparently. But it's so great that it comes with this really cute matching stitch marker. I'm very excited about it. Thank you very much, Kristen. And she can be found on Etsy if you just look for Voolenvine Yarns, or her podcast. And the last thing that I stashed that I want to share with you guys is more of a tool than anything else. If you guys are sorry, I got a little bit of fiber on my tongue there. If you guys are big fiber spinners, you may have heard of this woman. You may have heard of Susan Glenner Stevens. She goes by the name of Fleagle on the internet and on Ravelry. She's an amazing, amazing spinner. She came out with a self-published ebook about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, all about supported spindling. It's super comprehensive. I bought it and I love it, and I still use it to this day as a reference for everything related to fiber type and spinning techniques that are support spindle based. She also has a company on Etsy where she sells really, 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 really fine yarn that is super, super lace weight. We're talking about cobweb, you know, yarns that it's basically, it feels like 3 or 4 fibers held together for what is called gossamer knitting, so kind of spider web weight. And she also sells a couple of very specialized tools, one of which is this. I've got beads on this right now, but it's a bead stringer. And the way it works is it's basically a bent piece of wire with a stopper on one end and a cap on the other. And once you take the cap off, it helps you get more beads onto your onto the tool, I guess. And this tiny little, I don't know if you guys can see this, there's a tiny little notch in there. There, you can probably see it against my hair. There's a tiny little notch in there that you use to kind of string the beads onto the yarn. So let's see if I could try and show you guys this with my new yarn as an example. So you basically, that tiny little hoop, or that tiny little notch, you make sure that kind of you catch the yarn in it, and it makes it much easier. And of course, now that I'm trying to show you in front of the camera, it's not going to work, but it makes it much easier to string beads on as you're knitting. I just can't do it because I'm holding it up to the light. Let's see if I can catch this. Forgive my lack of nail polish. I'm usually better than that, guys. Oh, you know what it is? This is a sock weight yarn, and it's really meant for lace weight yarns, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. You can see it catches. She sells these in 3 different weights, or for 3 different bead sizes, and also she just now invented one that will work on sock yarn without tearing it up like I just did with this. So very glad that I got this tool, because I had been working on a shawl for my other sister. If you guys know me very well, I'm being very uncharacteristic. I'm knitting things for other people. It's amazing. My sister's. But I have been working on this lovely, lovely huppah for my middle sister who's getting married this summer. And you can see all these beads that I've got on there already. I had been doing the beading just with regular tiny crochet hooks, and it works just fine except for the fact that I can only get 4 or 5 beads at a time on the crochet hook. I'll show you really quickly. Whereas, you know, in any given round, I've got to string at least 16 to 24 beads on as a time. So the fact that this crochet hook gets so thick, I can only get a couple beads on at a time. So it's much, much better to have like 30 beads on a time, and that's at a time. So that's why I got this. So we'll see how that improves my productivity in terms of beading. And it should be pretty straightforward. The tools cost about $11 to $12 US, and they ship super fast. I ordered this on Sunday night and I just got it yesterday in the mail, so it came pretty quickly. So I think that's all that I've got for you guys for today for crafting and stashing. I'm running up on my time limit, so I'm going to give you a little bit of periphery. Alright, so we had a couple of contests. Every month I'm doing a birthday contest in the Ravelry group. So we had January and February. January's winner never got in touch with me. I hope everything's okay with her. I think her name was Pink Penny on Ravelry. So I'm going to go ahead and draw another prize winner for those for January. And I'm also going to pick the February winner. So watch this space. In about 10 seconds you're going to see hopefully your name flash up as the winner of the February contest and the winner of the January contest. And what exactly do you win? My good friend Erin of Bling Your String Bags. This is one of the examples of her really fun knitting project bags and craft project bags. Has offered to give the prize winners for every month this year, the birthday girls or guys, she's giving you guys a free astrological sign stitch marker. So I will show that in a couple seconds, and please get in touch with me if you guys win via the Ravelry CraftStash group. Until then, if you can't craft it, stash it. Cheers and jazz hands!